Hey guys, today we're talking about the ebook. As an independent author, the ebook is very near and dear to my heart. It is the reason that my stories are available for the world to see. So let's go ahead and go to slide number 2 and we'll talk about what is an ebook. It's a digitized form of a book. It is meant to be read on a computer, e-reader, tablet, or smartphone. An ebook gives readers the options of reading books through an on-screen interface instead of on paper. Of course, you have to have a computer, tablet, smartphone, or a specialized e-reader device to access the content. Like, this is the print version of my book. You can see it's got words all through it. And then if I turn on my iPad over here, give it a second, I guess. There we go. You can see the print version of my book. All right? So I can hold them up together. You can see that they're the exact same cover. I can also swipe to get the pages and go to the very first chapter of the ebook. And you can see, if I turn to the page in my print book, the chapters are the same. So it's the exact same content, just in the form of a digital book. All right, let's talk about this bad boy right here. What is an e-reader? Next slide. E-readers are the hardware that allow readers to access digital books. They are lightweight handheld devices specifically designed for reading. They can hold libraries of thousands of books and only weigh half a pound. They allow readers to download new content any time of the day and anywhere that they can connect to the computer or the internet. So one of the really cool things about the e-reader is that it holds thousands of books. Now, for somebody like me who loves to read, I have huge piles of to-be-read books, and now I can have huge piles of to-be-read ebooks. But like, let's say I'm going on vacation. Okay, well, when I go on vacation, I'm going to be packing my Bible. That's this bad boy right here. It's this thick. And then I'm going to at least have probably 2 books just so I can have variety. You know, I never know what I'm going to want to read. So that right there is what I'm going to be packing. And it's pretty heavy. All right. If I'm going to be flying, the weight of my bag is very important. So I'm either going to have to cut down on my books, try and fit them in my carry-on, or, you know, just not bring them at all. And then now that we have the e-book or the e-reader, I don't have to make that decision. I can carry all of my books plus thousands of more in this little handheld device. So I'm going to try and hold them up side to side so that you can see what it looks like. So this compared to this. Lightweight, heavy, thick, thin. You know, it's great that I can take all of those books on vacation with me. And let's say I'm on vacation and I don't like the book I'm reading. I'm like, oh, I need something new. Oh, wait, there's this new author. They just released a book. I can scroll onto the internet, download the book, boom, it's available. I can start reading it right then and there. All right, so that's one of the main reasons I love e-readers and ebooks. Here's reason number 2. For those of us who like to highlight, and I do like to highlight, you can highlight on your book. You can pick a color, and there it shows it up. You can even write a note. Like this is cool. Save. And it shows that I have a note written right there. Let's say I don't think that that's cool, or that I, didn't mean to highlight it. I can take the highlight off. I can take the note out and I can delete it. And then it's gone. Just as clean as ever. Now, if I tried to do that with this form, I can highlight it. It's there for life. If I write something in the margin, it's there for life. There's no way that bad boy's coming off. So that was another reason that I think the e-reader and the ebook are amazing technology. Now, the e-reader and the ebook did not take off when they first became available. They weren't an automatic success. So let's talk about the history. Next slide. Michael Hart is considered the father of ebooks. In 1971, he started Project Gutenberg, which was an attempt to catalog human knowledge. For 20 years, the ebook continued without any specialized e-reader. Ebooks were available to the small number of people who had access to a computer. Next slide. The 1980s brought an infrastructure of personal computers that enabled a large group of people to read ebooks, but the ebook still did not take off. However, this diffusion of personal computers, the internet, and online retailers really created the right environment to bring the ebook about. So in the 1990s, Sony introduced the dated Discman as a method of storing data without a bulky hard drive, and it became the first portable e-reader. Similar to a portable gaming system, the dated Discman accessed information from a mini CD and displayed it on a screen. Even with this option to portable reading, it would take another 17 years before the e-reader would really become popular. So let's see what happened in the technology to help make the e-reader popular. Next slide. Electronic ink became one of the biggest advances on the e-reader. E-Ink Corporation created electronic ink and combined it with e-readers to fool the reader's eye into thinking it was reading a paper book. The e-reader sends an electronic charge to each of the millions of small capsules, making it either appear black or white to form words or images on the screen. In 2006, the Sony Reader became the first e-reader to use an e-ink display. But even this advancement did not bring e-reader success in the marketplace. That wouldn't happen until Amazon entered the picture. So let's see why Amazon made such a difference. Next slide. Amazon is an online retailer that began its business as a bookstore. It wasn't until Amazon introduced the Kindle Reader in 2007 that the e-reader took off. The Kindle's success had more to do with the fact that Amazon's customers had been buying books and reading on-screen text for years than that it was a better or a different device than Sony Reader. That really had nothing to do with it. Amazon had a target audience that was easy for them to advertise to through their normal day-to-day sales. And this is an example of pre-diffusion theory. Amazon's expertise in distribution and hardware and software made it easier for the Kindle to achieve the diffusion threshold. Sony was more involved with just the hardware, but Amazon had it all. It was kind of the next step for the company to expand. They had the online sources for retail. They had the software. Now, all they needed was something to put the software on. So they created the Kindle. Now they have the hardware. So they have the hardware, the software, and the means to get it out there to the public. So that really helped Amazon to become the #1 seller at the time. Now, anytime we have somebody who makes success, there's going to be followers. Next slide. In 2009, Barnes & Noble released the Nook. Like the formatting of Amazon's Kindle book only being available for that device, the Nook format of books could only be read on a Nook device. So that's like if I have my Kindle and I actually have an old Kindle Fire that doesn't work, so I'm going to use this as a prop. If I have my Kindle, I can shop on Amazon. I can buy any ebook I want from Amazon. But let's say there's an author that released a book on Barnes & Noble and didn't release it for Amazon. I really want that book, but I can't read it on my Amazon, on my Kindle, so I can either go buy the paperback book, I can spend another $100 to $200 somewhere in there to buy another ebook, the Nook, so that I can get it, or I can just say, well, I'm not going to get it. And that's where customers kind of were. They either were stuck with their Kindle and their Amazon account, or they were stuck with their Nook and their Barnes & Noble account. And so in walks Apple, and Apple released the iPad in 2010. And the iPad is similar to a computer, but it allows readers to not only read Kindle books and Nook books, but they can also download the proprietary books from Apple's iBookstore that cannot be read on other machines. So Apple said, oh, okay, well, let me help them out. So they created something where Barnes & Noble customers could read on the iPad, Amazon customers can read on the iPad, and that really brought the competition to a new level. The iPad also has a lot of other features that really made it a game changer. Let's go and find out about them. Next slide. The iPad was a game changer in the e-reader market. Capabilities similar to that of a laptop, but much lighter. This brought on the race for larger screens, email, and web browsing on e-readers. Amazon offered the Kindle Fire, and Barnes & Noble introduced the Nook tablet in 2011. Both devices were similar to the iPad. The iPad success and other tablets in the ebook market has helped establish what will likely be the most important hardware for the future of ebooks, the smartphone. And that's a tiny digital version of my book on my smartphone. Now, the iPad did a lot of things before the smartphone became available. Kindle and them, they had their, you can read a book. Well, iPad said, you can read a book, you can check your email, you can search online, you can check the weather, you can write, you can listen to music, you can play games, you can do all of this from the iPad. And now Kindle and Amazon and Barnes & Noble were like, oh, well, we've got to come up with something that matches that, and that's why they came up with the Kindle Fire and the Nook tablet. All right, let's talk a little bit about the original e-readers and why they may not be doing as well as they think they should. Next slide. Though partly responsible for the rise of the e-book's popularity, e-reader sales have plummeted even as e-book sales have grown. So people are reading e-books, they're just not reading them on e-readers. Due to the lack of innovation, e-reader users have little reason to upgrade from older models. Barnes & Noble have been forced out of the UK e-reader market. Smartphones have made ebooks available to everyone without having to purchase an e-reader or a tablet. And most everybody has a smartphone nowadays. So why are they going to buy their smartphone when they can make calls and do everything that the tablet can do from their phone? It's like double duty. Why would you buy both of these? The growing popularity of larger displays in Apple and Android phones has also helped spur the move to the smartphone as an e-reader. And I know that the younger generation, my nephew who's in 7th grade, he does everything from his phone. He plays games, he reads books, he makes phone calls, he takes notes, he takes pictures, he does everything from his smartphone. I love my smartphone for almost everything, but when I read a book, and I have read off of my smartphone, don't get me wrong, if that's all I have with me, I will read off of it, but I'd rather have something that resembles the page of a book just because I like the bigness of it, and that's probably because of my age more than anything else, but I like to be able to see what I'm reading, and it's a little bit harder on a smaller screen. So that being said, the younger generation are going straight to smartphones, and it's more people in my generation, I think, that are still holding on to the tablets. All right, next slide. Let's have some fun facts to consider. 74% of ebooks sold in 2015 were purchased from Amazon. So, of course, Amazon's the leader in the ebook market right now. Ebooks are still a minority of book sales and books read, however. 72% of Americans read a book in 2015. 63% of Americans read a book in print, and 27% read an ebook. You know, when the ebook first came around, publishers and people alike thought, oh my gosh, the print book is gone. Nobody's going to want to buy a print book when they can buy the digital version so much cheaper. That's not going to happen. Well, the numbers on the study say that 63% of Americans still want to read a print book more than an ebook. Now, that doesn't mean that ebooks are not popular. That doesn't mean that print books are popular. It just means that people want print books. Now, if you're like me and you love the digital version of your book, and you really, really want a print copy, you're going to buy a print copy of it. You know, if you really like the print copy, you're going to get a digital copy. Most people will have both because they can travel with one, but if they're at home, they want to read from their print book. Only 19% of Americans had dedicated e-readers in 2015. That's down from 32% in 2011. Of those, only 54% of e-book readers have read a book on their phone. So about half of the people who have e-readers have read a book on their phone. E-books have become popular in libraries. According to Overdrive, more than 169 million e-books were borrowed in 2015, which is an increase of 24% from 2014. And that really makes sense. When I was writing my Christian application paper, I had 2 or 3 ebooks that I downloaded from the Liberty University Library. Now, if ebooks weren't available, I would have had to wait 2 to 3 business days for those books to get here, read them, try and get all that information in, and then send them back. I wouldn't have been able to highlight, I wouldn't have been able to take notes, I wouldn't have been able to do anything except read and hand take notes. That would have taken a lot of time. So the fact that I could borrow the book from the library and read it that way was amazing. Also, let's say that there's a 4-book series, and at my local library they have books 1 and 3. Well, I want to read books 1 through 4, not books 1 and 3, because if I read book 1, I'm going to want to read book 2, or I'm going to be behind in book 3. So at least that's the way I think of it. So I have some options if that happens. I can go buy books 2 and 3, but I'm usually not going to do that. I want to read the entire series and know that I like it before I'm going to buy it. I can get the Kindle version of them, but again, I don't know that I'm going to want to buy them before reading them. I can go to another library, buy a library card, and get the books from them. Then I have to keep up with, okay, this book goes to this library, this book goes to that library. Or I can use the interlibrary loan system, which means from my library here in Limestone County, I can download a book from another library. Let's say Limestone County Book has books 1 and 3, but Huntsville Public Library, they have books 3 and 4. Well, I can borrow the books from them, the electronic version, and read them straight from my Kindle right here. So that was something that I think really helped the libraries, and I know that for some of my courses, like in my marketing class, I have a digital book that I read. So it makes it easy because that class has 4 books to read, and it's easier if they're all on a digital device. All right, let's go to the next slide. Since we're talking about borrowing books and everything, let's talk about subscription services. A subscription service allows customers to subscribe to a site for a monthly fee in order to have access to that site's ebook library. In 2015, Scribd partnered with Marvel Comics, Harlequin, and major audiobook producers to provide access for their subscribers. They didn't, however, realize how much people can actually read. Romance readers were reading too many books a month, so Scribd had to limit romance readers' access. This also happened with the audiobook, and Scribd limited it to 1 audiobook a month. Each additional book cost the same as a month's subscription. Now, what Scribd found out was, whoa, people can really devour content. And I don't think that they realized that when they started it. They thought maybe people would read 1 or 2 books a month. Now, I can read up to 4, 5, 12 books if I'm really reading in a month. I can read 12 books in a month. You know, that's a lot. That's like, 3 books a week. And I can do that during the summer if I don't have anything else going on. But with the subscription service, they didn't realize how much money they'd be losing if somebody did that. So I think that really hurt them. Now, there's been others, like Oyster and Entitle also entered the subscription service, but all models proved unsustainable. Entitle shut their doors in July of 2015. Oyster was purchased by Google and later shut down in January 2016. Now, of course, Amazon wanted to take the next step. They had the hardware, they had the software. Well, they see, hey, subscription services, something's up with that. Netflix is making money off of their subscription service with movies. Why can't we do it with our Kindle Unlimited service, which will lead the market because of their ability to acquire books cheaply through their publishing within the Amazon ecosystem. Now, Amazon also publishes self-published authors. That's where I publish my books through. I can publish for free with them. All I have to do is have the interior content, the cover, upload it to the website, press publish, and boom, my book is available within a few hours. And Amazon shares their royalties with me. Like with a traditional publisher, you're going to be getting about 40%, maybe 50%, most likely not. And with Amazon, I get 70% of my royalties. So I make more with Amazon, but being a new author, it also means that I have to get my book out there. Kindle Unlimited allows me to get my book to a lot of people. If they subscribe to Kindle and I put my book on the Unlimited service, more people will take a chance on me. They're not losing any money by borrowing my book and reading it. And I get paid for how many pages they read. So when I first released this book in April of 2018, the first month, I think I had about 10,000 page reads. And then what happens is when it comes time to be paid, the Kindle Unlimited Global Fund will be distributed to all the authors that are in the Kindle Unlimited library. And you get paid 0.889 cents a page. For me, with my 10,000 page reads, that averaged out to about $20 or $30 for that month. That's a huge feat for a new author to be able to get that much money with a book that they just released, because a lot of the time you have to build your audience. And so the subscription services with Amazon really helped me to get that visibility that I needed. All right, let's go to the next slide. The future. There are 2 big changes facing the ebook: the development of new formatting and the change of devices on which they are read. By 2031, all personal computing will likely be centered around a smartphone-like device. This device will function as a phone, tablet, or computer. The screen will unfold and stretch, making it as portable and easy to glance at as your smartphone currently is, but easily becoming large enough to read a book or watch a video. Now, I told you before that I wasn't really sure about reading on my phone because it was so small, but if I had a device that like stretched out to this big so that I could read on it or watch a movie, okay, I could probably see myself going to that one device for everything. And if that does happen, it would make e-readers, tablets, and personal computers obsolete. Ebooks will move more towards subscription models, which most content will become easily available for use by paying a monthly fee. So we talked about the subscription services from my aspect. You know, it helped me to get exposure, but it also does take away a lot of the royalties. For instance, 70% if they buy a book. Like the print version of this book is $13. The ebook is $2.99. So if I sell an ebook, I get 70% of that. That's $2. Now, if I'm in Kindle Unlimited, I get paid 0.89 cents per page read. So I'm going to make more if I sell more ebooks than I do it with my subscription service. And I think that's really going to affect independent authors as well as traditional authors. So if you go to my last slide, my question to you is, how will subscription services affect both self-published authors as well as traditionally published authors? Because for the ebook to stay successful and for books in general to stay successful, you have to have somebody writing the content. So I want to know, how will the subscription service affect both self-published authors as well as traditionally published authors? Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the discussion board, or you can email me and I'll be happy to answer them. Have a great night. Thank you.